Hello and welcome to this special episode of Bajaj Allianz General Insurance presents Times Network Living Room Conclave India Health Mission series co-powered by Herbalife. Now the last 5 years have seen some dramatic changes and life-altering experiences for all of us, whether it was the decriminalization of Article 377 or the country coming together to support each other through the time of COVID-19. We are the people who have seen it all. But what is more important is that there are chatters that have turned into conversations. Closed door calling has become open door communication, that is, talking about one's mental health. Once considered a taboo, it is now the talk of the nation, all thanks to people who have vocalized the concept of it's okay to not be okay. There are movies that cater to psychologists being called Dimag ka doctor and why it is as normal to go to them as it is to go to the ER in an emergency. But despite this, many people are still unaware of the influence mental health has on their overall well-being. Our Health Mission series is a series of episodes that aims to inform, raise awareness about, and to educate our national audiences on essential topics that can save and protect lives through a dialogue between leaders from the public and private sectors. On this special episode of the India Health Mission series, we delve into the importance of raising awareness about the impact of mental health on overall well-being. And today I'm joined by a very special panel of experts. Let me introduce them to you. First up, we have Mr. Tapan Singh Hale. He's the Managing Director and CEO of Bajaj Allianz General Insurance, and he's also the Chairman of the General Insurance Council. We also have with us Chhavi Mittal. She's an actress and a content creator. And finally, we have Dr. Harish Shetty. He's a psychiatrist with LH Hiranandani Hospital. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for being here on this panel. Dr. Shetty, first coming to you. Like I said in my introduction, the connection between mental health and physical health, physical well-being, overall well-being, is very less spoken about. I know there are some studies by the National Institute of Health that have spoken about this issue as well. Just your thoughts on some of the ailments that could be associated with mental well-being, which if mental health is not kept in check, some of the physical ailments that could crop up. Just wanting your thoughts.
Mind and the body is in constant conversation. And when the conversation goes wrong, the body suffers or the mind suffers. Well, when somebody sleeps for 4 hours a day, somebody deprives himself or herself of sleep because of OTT, and someone says that I can party hard and I can go to the lounge and drink a lot, they are forgetting that the body orchestra goes for a toss and the organs go on a protest mode. And when they go on a protest mode, pancreas says, I will not give you insulin, you have diabetes. Then stomach says, I'll pour acid into the stomach, you lose your gastrointestinal peace. Thyroid says, thyroid hormone nahi dunga. And then you go to the doctor, to an endocrinologist. So what happens is, the orchestra goes for a toss, organs don't play music, but they bring noise, and you can have a host of lifestyle diseases, right from the skin to all the organs.
Very insightful, sir. Thank you for that. Mr. Singhal, I'll come to you also. You know, a lot of these, just wanting your insights on the same thing, because a lot of these ailments are pretty much either related to the gut or to the brain. So your thoughts on this interconnectedness and the importance of that?
See, Sumit, I think a lot of times when we speak of mental health, we are always looking at an extreme point of view. Even, let's say, when you get up one morning and you go to work and you're not feeling very good about it, you may not classify it as mental health the way it's spoken in society, but it's a mental health issue, even at a very minor issue which is there. So I think a lot of times you have to be cautious about a couple of things. What is it that makes you feel happier? What is it that makes you enthused? What is that's pushing you down? Because your productivity, and somebody asked me this question, that how can you do like 100 activities in a day? The productivity depends a lot on how do you feel and how do you harmonize, like doctor mentioned, your body and mind together. And for the harmonizing, right from your thoughts to the food you eat, what suits you. It's not necessary you read what is a fad and you follow that. Every body is different, It will have its own adoption to what it is, and what is the environment that suits you. Put it all together. It's your life. Your life does not mean it is just about partying hard, like doctor mentioned, but it's also about how do you feel every day.
Very important, Mr. Singhal, and I think it's really important how you of just looking at the smaller things. You know, when they say that God is in the details, it's in this. So even if it's one day, every day is different. Every day we wake up, it's a different day. We are feeling different, things are different, but we have to remember, take those small steps towards the larger goal. Ma'am, coming to you now. Many of the viewers might not know, but you're a breast cancer survivor. So while we started the conversation looking at how mental well-being impacts physical well-being, in your case, I want to turn the question around, because physical well-being, going through cancer, the treatment, going through recovery, how did it impact your mental well-being? How did you keep yourself mentally going to help overcome that phase?
Contrary to the popular belief, when I was diagnosed with cancer, that is not the exact moment where it hit me. And I think doctor would agree, sometimes when you have PTSD, it suddenly dawns upon you a little later in life. You feel that you're doing okay, and then suddenly you realize that you're not, and you cannot put your finger on it at that point, because I think it started hitting me probably 2 months after my whole surgery and the treatment was over. And I went through it very nicely, very smoothly, and I took it very positively, and probably I did not give an outlet to my feelings at that point, and suddenly started feeling that something is wrong. And at that point I didn't have anything to blame it on. Now I'm fine, now I'm out of it. And sadly, a lot of people who are around you or not around you, social media, your followers and everyone, people don't take mental health seriously. They don't really recognize that there is a problem here. And I think the best thing that helped me at that point was to prioritize myself. Just a simple thing as prioritizing myself. Before I had the cancer, I was a workaholic, and I always tell people that I used to have a 40-day week. I did not know how to delegate. I was so hands-on with everything, with the kids, with the house, with the office, with every little thing. I had to see what my employees are doing, what everyone around me is, how are they handling things. But then I learned how I have to prioritize myself, and I would tell my kids, sometimes I just take off for a vacation. I just go out for 2 days, disconnect with the world, disconnect with social media, and I just tell them I need this right now, and that is all it takes.
So important and such a valuable insight. And Dr. Shetty, I'll take this to you, because it's so obvious in a way. So if, God forbid, someone's got a fracture or they've got a sprain, they can say that, listen, I need to rest, I've sprained my hand or I've fractured my leg. But if they have some, somewhere in the mind you're upset or you're low or whatever, if the mental health is not at its peak, you can never say someone, hey, I'm just feeling off, I don't want to do this. So how are you seeing these things develop? How are you seeing things change now?
Absolutely. So a sprain in the leg will get a lot of attention. There will be a cast and people will say, I miss you, I love you. But a sprain of the mind or a fracture of the mind is not visible. So it's not visible because the eyes do not see what the mind does not know. So I would request everybody to manage the stress early, lest they fall into a state of depression. Ask yourself, get in touch with yourself, which means what? Have I been sleeping properly? Have I been exercising? Am I very angry at somebody? Is there a story that really disturbs me, that is unhealed? Has somebody done some perceived nasty things on me? What is it? Ask yourself what is happening. Time is not always the best healer. And mind is like a fuse. It can go off without reason. Because 1 out of 7 Indians are mentally ill as of now, as compared to 1 out of 8 in the world. All organizations like this should have mental health checkups for their employees, voluntary, of course, voluntary, and see that you identify the extreme cases very early and the mild to moderate cases, so that we can prevent a fracture of the mind.
So very important insights. Mr. Singhal, I'll come to you on this, but one side point also I want to raise is, like the doctor said, say there's a physical fracture, we'll go to a doctor, we get insurance covered for that. for mental, any mental issues that you want to go to a doctor, is that happening now because yes, one is who do we go to, but once you identify a doctor and you go to that doctor, the other end is also, hey, what are the charges? Will that be covered by my insurance? Is that something that you're seeing happening now?
Mental health is part of the insurance policy, no? So if somebody gets admitted for mental health, it's covered. So I don't think that people should be thinking about that. They should not hesitate to that. But as Dr. Shetty mentioned, not about the charges. It's more about the shame. I think the fight has to be that it's a normal thing to happen. Like 1 in 7, if it's happening, the statistics is worse than diabetes, no? And for diabetes, you see so much awareness getting created, so much talk being happening now about it. But for mental health, why would people hesitate to do so? And as we are discussing, it's not something that would be there. It is just that consistently you have been under a lot of stress, or like the doctor mentioned, if you have something which has gone way out, or like Chavi mentioned that if it's a traumatic experience and post that you have this, it's perfectly fine. I think the bigger problem in our country is the number of psychiatrists to the number of population which is there.
Absolutely, because within ourselves we have to accept it, and outside also, because it's हमारी आदत पुरानी वो है कि चल जाएगा ना, ठीक हो जाएगा ना, कल ठीक है, क्या बड़ी बात है. It's like that. Nobody says if I have a backache and I need a hot water bag, but nobody says चल जाए. They say हाँ ठीक है लगा लो, or put some balm or whatever. Chavi, coming to you, in your line of work, you're almost always on because of social media. You have a fan following, you're interacting with them. One aspect of general people are where they are if they're in the corporate world, there is something called the rat race. So you're continuously running to kind of move up the ladder, etc., etc. How does that work in your line of work? Because you're also, so to say, completely on, always on, talking to your fans, interacting with them.
So in our industry, it's called FOMO.
And then JOMO, joy of missing out, you have to build. Yeah, but...
So yeah, that happens. And so there was a time that I had started vlogging my daily life. Okay, so I was doing 3 vlogs a week. And after a point, I suddenly started feeling exactly what you're saying. I started feeling that, what am I doing? I'm just following the rat race because vlogs are doing well on YouTube. So just for the views, I'm just getting the camera out every morning and saying, hey guys, this is what I'm eating today. This is what I'm going to be doing today. What am I doing? This is not adding value to anybody's life. It is not adding value to my life. This is not what content creation is about. And I told myself, it just started getting very stressful. I'm going for vacations and I'm vlogging it. I'm showing people what I'm doing for my kids' birthdays. It was just getting too intrusive. And I decided that I can't handle it. So I stopped. And I constantly get these questions on my social media, why you're not doing it, why I don't reply. But I'm not there yet. I'm not ready yet. If I'm ready someday, I'll do it. If I'm not, I won't. If I have something meaningful to share, I'll do it. So and the days that I really feel low, like there was a few days ago when I did not feel like going to the gym, and you know how you can't put your finger on it. I mean, why do you not feel like getting out of bed, and why do you not want to go and do what you love doing? Why is it like that?
Absolutely, because it's so true. Because some days, every day is not 100% day, but you've got to learn to be okay with that. Well, on that note, it's time for a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're watching Bajaj Allianz General Insurance presents Times Network Living Room Conclave India Health Mission series, co-powered by Herbalife. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Bajaj Allianz General Insurance presents Times Network Living Room Conclave India Health Mission series, co-powered by Herbalife, where I'm in conversation with Dr. Harish Shetty, Chavi Mittal and Mr. Tapan Singhel. Dr. Shetty, for our viewers out there, what can they do? How do you normalize this? How do you guide them? So I know there are a lot of helplines that people can reach out to, but what's sitting where you are, seeing your experience, meeting so many patients that you do, interacting with the larger fraternity that you do, what's your guidance to our viewers, how they can take some corrective steps?
In a globalized world, that one of the adverse reactions of globalization is there's no time. And you have restricted time. So all that sentence of spend quality time goes for a toss. What is very important is steal time. Don't be available at every marriage function, every engagement, every other invitation. You don't have to please the world. Steal time and be with your loved ones. Very, very important. Number 2, it's the intensity of contact inside the family, which is more important than the quantity of contacts. Apart from that, Panchamrut, yoga to hoga. Apart from yoga, they can do any forms of meditation. Vipassana, Bhagwan Buddha ne diya hai. An, jaisa an, vaisa man. Eat right. Those who eat a lot of foods with preservatives, it affects the body and the mind. Number 3, don't compromise with your sleep. Grab your sleep. Don't believe that sleep is not about arithmetic, it's about the architecture. You can't sleep for 4 hours in the afternoon and 4 hours at night. Sleep has to follow a dream sleep and deep sleep. Along with that, what is very important is kindness. You need to talk to your security guard, your first line manager, your senior managers, your vice president, and your boss in the same way. This is what I learned from BK Shivani. You analyze yourself. How do you really talk to people at different grades? Are you compassionate with all of them? That means your heart and your brain are talking to each other.
So you know how they say Mumbai or Bombay is the city that never sleeps? I think that's in fact no longer something to be proud about. So this is very important. Mr. Singhal, I want to bring you in from a perspective of the industry, and both from a global and Indian point of view, because I do know that nations like Germany and United States, they have rehabilitation, mental wellness centers. What do you see happening? What more do you see is required from a point of view of the ecosystem? What can larger organizations, government in India do to help in this, or what are they already doing that you can share with us that viewers might not know?
Okay, I think this is a very serious issue. Now, if you look at from the insurance industry, right from the regulator to the ministry, they are very clear that this has to be part of the treatment coverage which the industry should provide. That's the first part. From an organizational perspective, every organization that I visit or meet or look into, they all have mental health as one of the key points from perspective of be it communication, be it providing helplines, be it providing toll-free helplines and anonymous so that nobody has to even talk about it if required. That I think most organizations already started covering that. The bigger issue is not this. The bigger issue is what do you glamorize? What do you talk about? When you say that the city never sleeps, is glamorized. Like that is like said with a lot of pride.
It's supposed to be cool.
Yeah, when you say that I work like 366 days out of 365 and I like work 8 days a week, is glamorized. So I think what is glamorized is very critical because kids and youngsters will pick up what is glamorized. How do you define success is again something that's glamorized. So if you have a big car, big house, that is glamorized. Is that success in the true sense? I think the definitions and the glamorization of things that happens has to be looked into, and I don't know how that will be done. So somebody asked me this question that you work so much, you do so much. I said, don't glamorize this, please. Glamorize the part that what doctor mentioned when I'm at home, I don't take calls. Now, if I'm 20 minutes at home, then I don't watch any kind of OTT. I'll spend time with my children or with my wife.
I think parents are a very important part when it comes to educating people about mental health and the importance of it. So what you teach your children as parents is what you're teaching the next generation. What are the value systems that you're teaching them? And not also telling them that competing is not always, you're playing a sport, you're playing it for fun, you're playing it for health, fitness. It's not always about winning. And also getting them close to nature to understand the real meaning of enjoyment and fulfillment of life. So, I encourage my kids to cultivate and do farming, and they have grown their own crops on the farm. When we go to the farm, we don't go to the farmhouse. We have a farm with plantation experience for the kids.
This is where I feel I 100% agree with you. One slight tweak or rather add that I want to do is because you are there as an example. You're doing it, so they're doing it. It's very important that parents today, I've seen they say it, but they don't do it. So it's so important that they also do it. And Mr. Singhal, to your point, what I really loved is, how now We've had TikTok earlier. Now we've got Reels on Instagram and Shorts on YouTube. We've got to learn to keep our mental and physical health, also make those shorts and those Reels, like you said. Dr. Shetty, as we wind up, any final thoughts that you would have?
I would strongly support the micro pranayam which sir prescribed. It's good for everybody. While waiting for a boss outside the office, while being in the car, I think it's fantastic. Number two is every person should understand there are 5 elements you have to be in touch for mental health. The air, the sky, the water, the sun, the fire, and the earth. I appeal to all parents to see to it that their children play with mud, look at the sky, look at sunrise and sunset, or if they have the time, and see that they play with water without being scared of catching a cold, and be in touch with these 5 elements which are extremely important for good health. Lastly, please don't stop yourself from taking help. Anybody can fall sick. Don't overestimate the resilience of your family members.
Fantastic. And before we wind up, ma'am, to you and then Mr. Singhel, just any last words that you'd like to leave with our
I was
audience?
just thinking about when you said that we don't have time for anything. You know, we've saved so much time actually with AI, but we still don't have time. And I think when you're talking about these micro meditation, the breathing techniques that you're talking about, there's also a micro meditation that maybe you can practice. Yeah. When you're really angry with something, something has gone really wrong, and you know your heartbeat rises and your blood pressure rises. Just take a few breaths and control it. Take 5 minutes. I think that's also meditation enough. It'll help a lot in the long run.
Mr. Singhel, last word as we wrap up.
Okay, so just ask yourself, what are you looking for in life? When I ask this question, 99.99% people say happiness. In fact, I heard an interview which was very interesting. When somebody asked the Dalai Lama, what is the purpose of life? He just answered happiness. If that is what you're looking for and that is the purpose of life and this is what it is, why are you playing with it?
Absolutely.
It's so simple, no? Just take care of it. Rest is incidental.
Well, it's been an absolute insightful panel. Thank you, Mr. Singhel. Thank you, ma'am. And thank you, Dr. Shetty, for that. Raising awareness about the dialogue and getting it started are the only ways forward in order to establish healthy mental health and ensure our entire well-being. That's all on this episode of Bajaj Allianz General Insurance presents Times Network Living Room Conclave India Health Mission, co-powered by Herbalife. Thank you so much for watching.